What's up, guys? It's Minx. In the last video, we got our basic plugin, mod, and setup, whatever you want to say it. We got that all initialized. Basically, 90% of it was copied over from the original part one. I guess you could say the original part one, how to write your mod from scratch. That's basically what this is at this point. Very slight changes. I added some more comments here. We'll talk about those in a second. Otherwise, everything else is the same. I commented this out. If you didn't already, you can comment that out. And then our configuration controller is the same. So nothing really changed too much off screen. In this video, we're going to set up our menu to open and close. We're not going to do anything with it. Other than that, we're probably going to have it draw or something like that. But we want to set up sort of a principle for modifying it and accessing it and doing stuff with it, because it's like the combination of the statics and instance variables is hard to wrap my head around personally. I don't know if it is for anyone else, but that's been a major roadblock for me in a lot of things. That's why some of my stuff turned into spaghetti. It's like, well, I ended up figuring it out. I went down 20 different paths and twists and turns to get there, so it looks goofy, but I guess it worked, which caused things to break. So I took some time to sort of write it out in a way that made sense to me, get it figured out, fixed up, and made sure everything was good. So we're gonna write a couple patches in, and we're going to essentially maybe draw this time, or at least have a way to tell that the menu's open or not. So the first thing I want to do is probably actually, firstly, let's talk about the comments. So when do we want the menu to open? I think I talked about this in the last video as well. This is important to me. We want to open it when we open the ESC menu. And when I say the ESC menu, it's like the play quit menu or whatever when you're in game. And since it's based on a patch, if you rebind your key for that menu, it'll also automatically rebind it for this mod menu. So that way you don't have to worry about not being able to access it. If you can access that menu, you can access this menu. And then, do we want the menu to be open while non-host? If so, do we want the ability to disable features? I think yes, probably. I don't see why not. I think it's a little excessive. I tried it in the other one and it was okay. It was just the best. But I also want to disable non-host features. I think is the best way to go about it. We'll see how that goes. That's like my official answer is, yeah, sure, open the menu when you're not host, but if it's something that you shouldn't be doing, go ahead and disable it. That's a sort of my ethical idea for that. So anyway, let's proceed here. So let's actually get into some code, or well, let's look at some code first. I already have what I'm looking for up. So fortunately, I've already done the research. When I helped someone else with a previous mod, we ended up doing a GUI for it, and we used the quick menu to determine whether it's open. And the functions that we need are the open and close quick menu. How do we know this? Testing, trial and error, stuff like that. It's, a lot of research. It wasn't that hard. It's a menu, so it was pretty easy to find. And then, we want open quick menu. It's public. That makes things super easy. Same thing for public for the close quick menu. And then there's a situation where if you quit the game, close quick menu isn't called. So we also want to make sure we reference, originally you'd think it would be like leave game, right? That's wrong. We actually want to reference leave game confirm. For some reason, leave game isn't good for it. I never really bothered to figure out why. It's like, oh, it doesn't work. Let's try this other one. And the other one worked. So we're going to use these three things. We're going to open our menu when this happens, close our menu when this happens, and if our menu is open, which we don't need to check, we're just going to close it when this happens as well. So let's get that patch set up. Quick Menu Manager. Since we're writing a patch, we'll go ahead and add it to our patches folder. We'll say Quick Menu Manager Patch. And once you've got that set up, this one is actually fairly simple. So firstly, we're going to do our same thing. We'd put this a harmony patch, type of, and it is a quick menu manager. And harmony patch should come up as an error since it's a new file. Just go ahead and using harmony lib with a quick action. In here, we're going to go ahead and let's define our three methods. So we're going to do a public static void open menu. Public static void close menu, and public static void close menu on leave game. We'll specify that. We'll make that very clear. We are closing the menu when we leave the game. Okay. And all of these are going to be a prefix, and they're all going to be very similarly, I guess the attributes, I think I'd call them, are going to be similarly labeled. So we're going to do a harmony prefix, and above the harmony prefix, we're going to do another harmony patch. In fact, we can actually copy this from this thing up here. Instead of doing type of, we're going to do name of, and we're going to do quick menu manager dot open quick menu. Okay, now let's copy this over. And if you're copying this over, you need to be careful not to accidentally forget to do it, because I forgot to do that previously, and it took me a long time to figure it out. We need to do close quick menu, because it's not going to toss any error. It's just not going to work. It's like, why isn't it working? And then the last one is going to be leave game, and we want to do confirm. So we've got these set up. I happen to know that these get called when I expect them to. We have no issues here, so we're not going to bug them too much. We're going to do too much with them. The next thing I want to do is actually like make our menu, sort of. We're not going to like do a bunch of GUI stuff today. To be honest, I'm dreading the GUI portion because GUI is god awful when you're having to code it out, but it is what it is. We're just going to make it, and we're going to make sure that we can open and close it properly. Or that it opens and closes properly, excuse me. So I'm going to add a new item directly to root. I'm not going to put it in a folder because it's a singular item. And I'm going to call it mod menu. I don't think, it's not like it's malicious or anything, so calling it a mod menu is fine. I know those have some bad connotations from like the old Call of Duty days where someone had a mod menu, it was fucked up. But we're going to do, the first thing we need to do is call this a mono behavior. And honestly, I called these GUI a couple times and it kept giving me like horrible like conflicts with the Unity's GUI things, and we need that. So we're going to give this right now 2 variables. Firstly, an internal static mod menu and call it instance. Then we're going to give it an internal, and we're not going to make this one static. This is a bool visible. And we're going to set it to false by default. So when it gets created, it's going to be set to false. And we could probably separate those. In here, we want to do a void awake. So this is what gets called, since it's a mono behavior, when it is created. And if instance is equal to null, which it probably should be, we're going to say instance is equal to this. And that's all we're going to do in awake for now. We're going to give it a void update, even though we're not going to use it today. And then we're going to give it void on GUI. And how does on GUI work? So on GUI is similar to update. If we look at it, it gets called every frame. It is on GUI is called for rendering and handling GUI events, which is called every frame essentially. It or maybe every other frame. I'm not really sure. But this is where we do GUI things. If we try to do a GUI call on update, it would yell at us. If we try to do a GUI call on GUI, it'll work. So you want to say if we are not visible, just return. Don't draw anything. Don't do any logic. You can skip anything. If there's anything we need to do before this, we can toss it if before. And then we just draw stuff here. So instead of saying like if visible, do a second level here, do a second tab in, and have a make it ugly, we just do it on the first level. It makes it nicer. And what for now, since we're not drawing anything, what we can do is I'm going to reference tutorial modbase.mls.loginfo. And say mod menu is open. So this will say, hey, mod menu is not visible. It's not going to print this. Mod menu visible, it will print that. So that's good. And then we're going to do one other helper function here that we're not going to use today, but we're going to use a decent amount in the future. It's to create textures. And when I say create textures, we need a thing to be a solid color when we make a thing for it or whatever. When we make like a style, we're going to use this make text to give us a style. So, or to do that for us. So we're going to say private texture 2D. And we're just going to call it make text. I found this on the Unity forums a while ago, I'm pretty sure, or Stack Overflow, one of the two. And we're just going to give it these 3 parameters: width, height, and color, into color. And we're going to give it a color array. And we're just going to call that pix. Wow, if I could use my arrow key. Equals a new color. And it's going to be, oops, not like that. Width times height. And then we're going to say for int I equals 0. I is less than, oh, I called it pick instead of pix. That's fine. Pick.length. Let's fix that. Okay. Then in here we just say pix I equals color. And then we say texture 2D result equals new texture 2D width height. And then result dot set pixels pix result dot apply, and then return result. So that'll do that for us. We don't need to worry too much about it, but that's fine. So let's go ahead and save this, and let's go back to our quick menu. And quick menu, and well, actually we have to do something in our plugin here first. So let's go ahead and actually create our mod menu, because we actually have to create it before we can do anything. So the first thing we want to do is we'll make it a non-static reference. So just like config manager, where we're trying to access and modify variables in it, we want to give it a non-static reference. So internal mod menu, we'll say menu. So when we're referencing it, it's our menu. We don't need to clarify that more for us. It is our mods menu, which is a mod menu. That's kind of funny. And then when we're in here, this is basically ripped right out from when I made GameMaster. So we do a var game object, and I don't remember where I got this from. I don't know if I imagine someone helped to create this, or just a bunch of trial and error, one of the two. Make a new Unity engine game object, and we give it a specific name. When I say specific name, it's a name that you create. You can create it whatever you want. We just need to know what it is a few lines down, which of course isn't hard. I'm just going to call it mod menu because it's a mod menu. It doesn't necessarily have to be the name of the type. That's just, it makes sense. We're going to do Unity engine dot object dot don't destroy unload game object. This is a little redundant and unnecessary, but it's better safe than sorry. In fact, if we use this alone, it often doesn't work anyway. But I'd rather, what is it, belt and suspenders? I think that's how the saying goes, just in case. And this is where actually like the one that matters. So game object dot hide flags equals hide flags dot hide and don't save. So if someone's BepInEx isn't configured in a way that allows this will prevent that from giving errors or destroying the menu. If you create a game object that the game is not wanting you to create and you don't do this, it will destroy it. And that can happen and cause some issues with other mods. That caused a big gripe a while ago that I won't get into. So let's set up our component. So we're going to do game object dot add component mod menu. We're going to say our menu is equal to, and we're going to reference or cast it, to mod menu. So we're trying to cast it to our mod menu. Game object dot find or dot get component, not find component, get component mod menu. And this should be the same as this one. So we're looking for the get component mod menu, and that should do it for us. So this gives us our menu reference. Now, how do we access it? Because that's always where things kind of get annoying. It's like, well, we got the menu. What do we do with it? So since it's a non-static, we have to access it through our instance. Go back to Quick Menu Manager patch. We would say tutorial mod base, in my case, because that's the name of the plugin's class, dot instance dot menu, because that's the name of the variable. And now we can access the, what do you call it? I think those are properties, or I don't remember. I always get them mixed up, property or field. We just say dot visible, and we can now set it to true on open quick menu. And we'll just copy this over to close menu and set it to false. And then we can copy that over to leave game confirmed to ensure that it gets closed when that is closed. And that should be it. Let's go ahead and go to our plugin, our plugin, and let's make sure that we are patching in the Quick Manager patch. Quick Menu Manager patch, not Quick Menu Manager. And we should be able to test it with with mod menu, we should be able to see that it prints out mod menu is open when our ESC menu is open. That's all we're looking for right now. I understand we probably want to draw something. How long is this right now? We're at 15 minutes. We'll probably draw something if this works. So without any issues, instead of having to go back and debug. So let's copy our mod, install it into the game, and launch the game. And good sign, we got no errors. We didn't get anything telling us, hey, you did something stupid. We're going to give you a null reference, because that's the game's favorite error to give. Okay, so we'll go ahead and host. And it's kind of hard for me to like show this, I guess. That's not too hard. So it's not printing anything. And now it is. We can see it continuing to print. I'm going to go ahead and move this back so I can easily reference it. Oops. And now it has stopped printing now that the menu has been closed. So our mod menu is working. It's opening and closing as expected, generally speaking. So for now, we are good on that. Let's go ahead and try and draw something. Let's see. We are on GUI. So let's do a box. So we're going to be doing a lot of math and copying and pasting in here at some point. Just a heads up. So let's define a couple variables. I'm probably not going to do a drag and drop menu. I'll be honest, I never actually bothered to figure out how. I've seen it done. I just don't, I didn't look in the code too much. So maybe we'll do that at some point. For now, let's give this some information here that we don't want changing. We'll give it a private int. We'll say, menu cat are all caps for something like this. It's probably like a const int equals, we'll say for the width 600, and then private, private const int menu height equals 800. And these likely won't be changing. And then we're going to do a private int. These will be different. Menu x, private y, or int menu y. In fact, menu width and height really shouldn't be hard-coded like this either. They should be dependent on the user's width and screen width and height, but we'll talk about that in a moment. And then we want something to define how wide items should be. So private int, we'll say item width. And I use 300 for this. We can use something else. So item width is the width of the items that get tossed on the menu. So, and it's something I predefine for because we use a math to determine where to put them. If we don't know how tall they are, then or how wide they are, then it'd be very difficult to determine how where to put them x-wise. Then we want a private int center x. So yeah, we'll talk about that stuff later, a little bit more in depth. For now, all we need to know is that's the stuff that we need. So in Awake, what we can do is use some basic stuff. So menu x is equal to, we'll do screen width. I do screen width divided by 2. Screen width divided by 2. So this will put the let's see, Unity Engine at screen. Perfect. That's what we're looking for. It'll put the X in the menu literally right at the halfway of the screen. So it'll this is halfway through the screen. It'll put the left part of the menu here. So it'll kind of be like right here, generally speaking. Menu Y equals screen height divided by 2. That should be fine. We'll see where it is. And then to calculate center X. So center X is essentially the center of the menu. We need this so we can determine where to place items. Menu X plus, and we're going to say, we're actually going to do 2 parentheses here, 2 sets of parentheses actually. So we're going to do menu width divided by 2 minus item width divided by 2. So let's, man, I'll bring out the paint for this one. Might as well. We'll go more in depth later, of course. But for now, if you have a menu that looks like this, okay, And then you take your, let's see, so your menu X is this. This is your menu X is right here. Um, and you add menu width divided by 2. So menu width divided by 2 goes halfway. So cut that in half. And then we subtract item width divided by 2. So item width is 300. So as of right now, item width is 300 from here. And since the width is 600 actually, it goes from here to the end. You subtract it divided by 2. So then you get this. So that's how you get the halfway point for your items. And if all items are the item width of 300, which I expect them to be, then our items will be perfectly centered on the thing there for us. So although our menu may be in a stupid spot right now, because I think it's like right here, if I'm not based on what I just put in there, it looks like it's right there. We'll have to see about moving it. This is where we expect our menu to be, but our items, when we put them on, will be like this. They will be dead center, so that's good. With that said, let's go ahead and go into the on GUI. And in here, we need to say, we're just going to do the box for now. We're going to say GUI.box. Oops, not GUI.box. Excuse me. Oh yeah, no, it's GUI.box. And let's fix this. So we may have to add a reference to Unity's. Let's see. Yeah. So nope. Okay, so let's go ahead and get a reference. I apologize for my lack of knowledge here. So for whatever reason, I completely forgot about this. So to find out what module what you're looking to do is part of, if you open up the Unity documentation literally by Googling it, Unity GUI class, pull up the scripting API, it'll say on the top here, implemented in Unity engine.imgui module. So we can close out of this and look at imgui. Completely forgot that the GUI stuff is part of imgui. So go ahead and hit OK. And now we can say GUI.box. And in here, when we call GUI.box, the way that this works is it asks for some information. So let me do a new rect, and we give it some information here. So rect takes an x, a y, a width, and a height. It doesn't say right now. We'll give it menu x, menu y, and then it takes menu width, and then menu height. And now since it's a box, we could give it some text here. So it's asking for some string. So just say GameMaster rewrite. And then we could also give it a style. However, we're not doing a style today. We're just giving the menu, so it's going to look ugly. I mean, it's going to be ugly pretty much regardless. But for now, this is fine. So my apologies again. We can ignore this and probably this too. We just needed to add the correct reference, which is the imgui. So I'll probably cut that out to be a little shorter because it took me a couple minutes. Let's go ahead and build this. And release. Let's grab the tutorial mod, bring that into plugins. And instead of looking for a print statement, we're going to be looking for a big black box, I think it is, or blue box. I don't actually know what the default color is, to be honest. Probably, I didn't, when I was using this, I wasn't doing like I did my color and my texture, so I'm not sure, or my style, so I'm not sure what color it is. Okay. And, oh, looks like it's on the top left, and it actually looks kind of nice, to be honest. I mean, the text is small, but I must have miscalculated? I'm not sure how. I'm not going to pretend to know what I did. This is where I expected it to be based on how it was written before. However, when I did the math, like just quickly, I didn't expect to be here. But okay, so we see our menus here. We're probably going to have to move it somewhere. Like maybe we put it like here or something, so it's like not over the resume button, and probably not over here because I think if you have people in, it will have a thing here. So anyway, we've got our menu showing up. It's popping up properly. I think we're good. And we have some pretty safe accessibility to information from one place to another so far. So yeah, this is good so far. One step at a time. And yeah, so anyway, that's it for today. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful day.